All right, hello, welcome to Adventures in Lollygagging and Friends. We are back to playing Fragged Empire tonight, continuing our Infinite Spaces campaign. We were off a couple weeks back, so none of us remember how to play, I'm sure. So this is going to be interesting. We'll see. I think it's a D20 game. Is that right? It's a D20?
I thought it was.
That
right?
sounds right.
D8s?
Oh no, it's a D100.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah,
a
D
roll.
percentile.
D8s would be a bold
Yeah,
choice. D8s would be a bold choice. It's not yeah, or D. There's actually isn't there a game that is the D4 now? The Triangle Agency. I think they do a D4.
D7s are in DCC, so we should just use those.
TCC just makes up things. They're like,
It's true.
a
really
D25, a D.
It's just decide what number you
Z,
want and say
Y.
that's what you
That's
want.
what it is. Z, a D ampersand. They can just do whatever they want.
Yeah. Raised to 4.
But no.
D9.5. I'm never wrong, no matter what I say.
That's true. Yeah. He just makes stuff up. That's why. That's why Melissa started rolling physical dice so that she doesn't have to ever be wrong. She just calls out whatever she wants. As I've mentioned this multiple times, these are not dice that I'm rolling. These are just rocks that I just drop for the sound effect, and then I just pick what I want to pick. I'm like 24. Is that hit?
Yep.
Okay.
It's a great idea.
So yeah, we're back to Fragged Empire. We vaguely, hopefully, will remember how to play. I'm not sure if I told you all this, but Fragged, they're coming out with, this is not a paid promo or anything, but they're coming out with a backer kit. Backer kit thing this week. Crowdfunding campaign for Frag Nexus, which is like their character and NPC tool things that they're going to eventually transition into a VTT. So for those of you who like Fragged, I think I put a thing in here. You should go take a look because selfishly, I want it to fund so that we can use it. So when it pops up, there's a link. So I think it's sometime this week. He said he was launching it. So looking forward to that. And they're I've been messing around with the new version, like the alpha or the beta, or whatever they're calling it. It's pretty good. It's pretty good. You got to enter in everything on your own, of course, right now. But I think eventually it's going to be more robust. So, but they're very helpful when you take 4 weeks off between sessions and forget how to play. You're like, oh, there it is. That's my character sheet right there. All right. So enough of this. Let's get to what everyone came here for. Let's talk about traders. No, I'm just kidding. All right. So I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. Melissa and I did just start a new episode. Nope, I'm falling into it. Okay, never mind. Here we go. I'm gonna start with Zhou. Zhou, can you tell us for Zatek, because we're gonna introduce our characters now, right? For Zatek, yes. What's when Maya dies? What is one thing in her possession that you would most want to take for yourself, and why?
Some form of ID that would help me procure more of boars type plants if we went back to any of those planets that have all those fungi and stuff on it.
Okay, so you want our access.
Form of identification I could steal, anything like that.
Okay. I mean, boars would love that too. But I want friends. That would be great. Let's kill her now so that we can make that happen. And then
calm down there.
You know what? I would die for boars, so that's fine.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm glad that you feel that way. So Maya, what is one thing in Dr. T's possession that when he dies, you would most want to take for yourself?
I want the framed birth certificate that has Kill as his father.
The long form or the short one?
Whatever you have on you at the time of your death. What do you carry with you every day? That's the one.
Okay.
It even says hashtag I'm a legitimate doctor next to the signature.
it's printed on the back of his degree. It's totally legit. It's totally legit. There's a Kinko's print mark. What's it called? Oh, jeez.
A watermark, yeah.
Watermark. That's it. Okay. Dr. T, same question, except this is going to be to Jita. So when Jita dies, which she will, What's the one thing in her possession that you would most want to take for yourself, and why?
This is really good because I was sitting here thinking, like, who am I going to get? What am I going to want? And I'm like, the only person I could think of was Jita. And this is going to sound weird, but it's totally not. Jita's armpits. Because that's where she shoots her rainbows out of.
Absolutely.
And I'm going to use them to upgrade Kill.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm going to put them in his palms.
Anybody else that wouldn't have made sense, but for Jita, it makes perfect sense.
Why? Why do I want armpit palms?
Why not?
Much less rainbow armpit palms.
They should rainbow beams.
Actually, I might have to roll that back. I might replace your belly button with it.
Oh, Care Bear
At least
style.
that gives me the Care Bear.
Care Bear style.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Okay.
That's really good.
That's a reasonable compromise.
Okay.
Obviously, we don't want Jita to die, but like if she had to, like Care Bear belly, pretty cool.
Listen, you guys want her out of here? Just let me know. I can make it happen. All right.
But then I'd lose my drinking buddy.
But honestly, we would gain a Care Bear. So like really, who knows?
It balances out.
Who knows? Remember that like Spectaculars game we started a long time ago with Chuck?
Captain?
And like,
yes,
and
I do.
I made an armored Care Bear. I remember him. Oh
yeah,
God,
was good.
I remember that. You had the
times.
little Peter Falk guy that you were mentoring.
Yeah, so stupid. Oh, all right.
Yeah,
Jita. When Kill dies, what is something that is in his possession that you would most want to take for yourself, and why?
Kill's armor, because Jita loves playing with metal, and holy crap, is there a crap ton of metal in that armor that can be repurposed for so many beautiful things. And useful.
Plus, it's like,
but
it's
also beautiful.
not very colorful right now, right? Like Kill doesn't really put a whole lot of decals. Is it matte or like is it?
But it can like change.
It can change the colors.
Yeah.
Like he even did the goofy thing last
better.
session where he tried to do the color changes to match what she was doing.
I remember that.
Except he was wearing the other suit over it and forgot.
Yeah.
I feel like you could make like at least a dozen.
I remember that. Yeah, that's right.
Planters out of his armor.
Had like dead mouse lights on.
Pretty much.
Just flashing around inside. Okay.
Because I'm an idiot.
Hey. But one day you're going to be a Care Bear idiot, and so it's totally fine.
Goals. Life goals.
Gotta have them. They're useful.
Yeah.
So Kill. Once Zatek dies, which he will, what is one thing in his possession that you would most want to take for yourself, and why?
I mean, clearly it's got to be the Spork mask.
Okay.
And then put it on the back of the helmet so you can always watch my back.
Aw, that's creepy and sweet at the same time.
I know, creepy and sweet.
Jeremy.
Got to balance it.
Yeah, that's pretty classic Jeremy right there. Okay. Well, fantastic. That's wonderful. I don't anticipate that you guys will be taking each other's stuff tonight, but at some point soon, I would imagine it's going to happen because we really do need to explore the dying rules. That would be negligent of us as actual players. I don't know, people, whatever. Anyhow, let's dive in. Summary wise, it's been a while, so I'm just going to give us the big overview here, like the gist of it. So we are still on the planet Hypnos. Which is in Legion space. We are here on behalf of Tribune Celine Lapidus. You've been tasked with tracking down a missing squad of Legion who are led by Maya's old flame Ajax, who turns out ridiculously strong assassin. His squad went missing after they confronted this unsanctioned expedition onto Hypnos, which is a highly guarded planet. They shouldn't be here. It's basically like some sort of terrorist or cult-like connections potentially with the expedition. Hypnos is a very mystical planet, has this unique relationship to the ley storms that surround the Cerberus system that you're in, and the planet's proximity to those storms causes all sorts of havoc with sentient creatures' memory. And anyone who spends too much time on Hypnos eventually answers the call, which is the term, and they kind of disappear into the mists. Now, you all managed to find the expedition's ship, and you broke up this weird like duel between Ajax and this kind of like hybrid remnant named Freylosh, and they were in some kind of weird cyclical like memory loop duel that was sort of fueled by a video game, a holo game you found on the ship. The rest of you the rest of the expedition had gone missing, and so too had pretty much all of Ajax's squad. Ajax didn't really have any memory of Maya, didn't really have any memory of Kill, despite knowing the two of them from the past. And so he fled. You did manage to reach him, in communications. And so he does at least trust that you are trying to assist, even though he doesn't remember you personally. But he started running off deeper into the planet, and he was looking for a squad. So the crew, you all followed eventually, but a little bit more slowly than him. And the mists were kind of continuing to play a lot of tricks on you guys, stealing your memories, throwing out some weird hallucinations, all that kind of stuff. I think only Kill actually has the protective suit on, if I recall. Along the way, you found a bunch of weird shit. You found some data crystals that were buried inside statues that were meant to look like Legion, all while this whirlwind was happening around it. You fought some feral Nephilim that kind of looked like these spitting spiders. You encountered a Twyfar scholar named Jolan, who is now with you and was also a member of that expedition. And you mistakenly attacked a wild Pharaoh, an extraordinarily rare sight. Just strange that it's here. All the while, you've been following Ajax's locator beacon, and that has led you to where we are right now, to this cold, deep fjord that is surrounding an island that is blanketed with that hypnos mist. We can see across the way, there are these tall ruins and spires that kind of look like old buildings. And Maya, you tried to swim across the fjord, but you very quickly found that the shelf dropped off, and it was just like this plummet. It's super deep water. And not only that, but there are these massive leviathans that are now swimming around in the water with you. So we're going to pick up right there. Why not? So as those of you from shore, we'll start by showing it from your perspective. You guys are all on the shore. It's kind of crunchy, rocky. There's a little bit of mist, but it's not too thick where you're currently at. You can see she's out there in the water, and you immediately see these things kind of roll over. You see a spout of water shift up in the air, and these huge dark clouds. These things are enormous. They are the size of whales, and she is the size of a human in real life. I'm going to start with you guys. Is there anything that you immediately start doing when you see this?
Yes.
Okay, well, what would that be, Dr. T?
I'm going to fly out there.
I like it. Okay. So Dr. T, you start flying over the water on your, and you're heading out there. What about the rest of you?
You go ahead.
You could do craft things to make makeshift stuff in this, right?
Do whatever the hell you want, and then you just roll a skill check. Yeah.
I think I want to look for a large kind of flat piece of metal. I'm just looking for something kind of like that, maybe some rubble or something.
There's definitely debris around here. So
the debris,
yeah.
There's room for one or two on that debris there, Zatek.
It's not going to be used to. I'm going to turn it into a speaker.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So if you're going to turn into a speaker, go ahead and give me an electronics roll, we'll say. Give me an electronics roll, because there is stuff around here, so it's not too hard to find. Okay, so that's what Zatek is doing. Dr. T is flying out over the water. Jita and Kill, what are the two of you doing?
I remember you had mentioned on the far side there were spots where it looked like there might be the remnants of cranes and other stuff that had been there.
It's a ways away. It's on the other side of this fjord, right? But you can see and there's mist all over that island, but you can see peeking up the skeletal ruins of of a city and a crane here and there. Yeah, absolutely.
So for a brief second, I see Zatek going to find salvage, and Kill thinks we're doing the same thing, and then he realizes he's trying to make a speaker, and I'm looking for something that could be a large, flat, buoyant surface. Start moving across the water.
Okay, so then for you, if you're just looking for something that might get you across the water, I say I don't know, a mechanics roll maybe. I know you're looking at that. The idea of trying to calculate the size and the weight of it, and everything, the buoyancy of it.
I'll gladly take that.
Okay, and then I'll come back in a second and get everyone's rolls, and then Dr. T, why don't you go ahead and give me a physical as you kind of try to fly out over, and you avoid the choppiness of the water or the weird rolling and tipping of these whales.
Yeah.
And then Jita, what are you doing?
would say that Jita is kind of watching what Kill does, because if there's a way to fit 2 people on the piece of debris, Jita would be the second person on the piece of debris. There's not.
There's not. It's established.
And then
you can have this one. It's fine.
What she wants to do is just sort of like be at the ready. So if like she sees something like come up out of the water that's very close to Maya, she can shoot at it if she needs to.
Okay. Just give me an awareness then for that. And then we'll come to Maya. Maya, you are in the water. It is very cold water, but your suit is probably protecting you from that. And it is very, very dark water. You do see these big dark shapes. They're shifting and moving, and you even see an eye or two kind of semi-glowing, staring at you. None of them immediately lunge at you. Like, it's not like you're suddenly getting attacked by this fast-moving shark, but they're there, and you can tell that they're aware of you at this point, and you start to see these big shapes shifting and moving. What does Maya want to do here?
So before I get back, I feel like it's really important. Like, it hasn't come up, but Maya's just really good with aquatic creatures. Like, I don't know what it is, but they just like love her.
Interesting.
And it's very weird, and it hasn't come up before, but just yeah, I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know what it is.
That's
but,
weird. That's interesting. Yeah. These are actually space whales, though. They just happen to be in the water, so they're not actually aquatic. So it's totally different.
Health inspection.
It's time for a health.
She is.
Gotta do the voice. They speak to you.
Oh,
they
fuck,
say to you, Maya,
and trying to swim in front and swim ahead as fast.
Okay, so you're just gonna try to swim around them.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, like not anything complicated.
Okay. In that case, I think physical would be just fine. Okay. Let's cycle around. So I'm going to go back to Dr. T first. Dr. T, you're flying out over the water here. How did you do on your test?
I got an 8.
Oh, God. Okay.
No.
Don't forget grit. Grit resets at the start, so you can, if you wanted to use grit for rerolling and stuff.
I thought about it.
Okay.
Not
All
going
right.
to.
Everybody watches as those of you who see this. You see Dr. T is flying out, and he's a couple feet off the water, and it's a little choppy. It's not. It's and you think the choppiness is probably just because there's like a handful of these giant creatures splashing around it. It's not like it's naturally like this. But maybe it's a fin that comes up and slaps them down. Maybe it's like a splash of wave. But whatever it is, Dr. T is flying across, and this kind of sort of black fin dripping with water comes up, smacks him out of the air like he's a shuttlecock. And he gets just slammed down into the water. Dr. T, go ahead and take 3 points of endurance damage as you do so.
He's been called worse.
Yeah.
Shuttlecock. It's very good.
I'm just so happy to. I don't think I've heard that term since I moved out of India, and I'm just so happy right now.
I used to have badminton net in my backyard when I was a kid.
Yeah, I
certain people here would enjoy
birdies.
The term. Yeah, birdies is another term for it.
Yeah.
Birdies or shuttlecocks, either way.
Yeah. Okay. So then, Kill, you were looking. You were specifically looking for a big piece that you could just float across on. So it's not going to take any crafts. That's fairly quick too. So what was your role in mechanics?
15.
Okay, yeah, you find like there's a bunch of different pieces. Maybe you throw one over to Zatek or so as he's looking for some as well. But you get one that's big enough to hold you, and you test it in the water. All of this is happening as Dr. T gets smacked out. And so by the time you pick one, you see Dr. T has been swatted out of the air. And you can see that Maya is splashing around. You see Dr. T is now splashing around the water, and you get out on the you have your board. What do you do with it? Do you just start paddling out?
Is it big enough for 2, or is it just the 1?
15? No, I would probably have wanted you probably needed unintended consequences like a +4. So it would have needed a 16 from that, I think.
I'll scoot it ever so slightly over to the side towards Jita, and I'll start swimming out.
Okay. So Kill, you just start swimming out, leaves it for Jita.
Oh, no so chivalrous.
All right, Zatek, you have been trying to put together some makeshift kind of speaker.
Yeah.
What's this about?
So I'm going to be using, you can use any flat surface if you put a speaker on it to like vibrate the whole thing, and it turns the whole thing into a speaker.
Okay.
So I've just been looking for this piece of metal that I could pull like part of my comm out, stick it to it, and put them in the water. And my goal is to just flood the water with weird sound waves, because whales always make those weird low noises and it can mess with them. I'm just kind of trying to like CC them with this speaker. Okay. I got an 18.
Okay, 18 is fantastic.
So then I have my thing where I get 2 bonuses.
Okay. All right. So let's see. Okay. So this is how this is going to work, and I'm still going to come back to Gita here in a second. But Dr. T, you get swatted out of the air. You get splashed in. This big black shape in the water shifts around and essentially becomes parallel with the shore now, and almost kind of blocks like the rest of you off. You can't even see Maya after a moment, as like kind of like cuts off sight of her, and you see this big kind of hump come out of the water and roll around. Dr. T, you get swatted down, and you're like caught up in like the weird kind of bumps and strange scales that are on this creature's dermis. And so you find yourself just kind of getting sucked down with it as it's rolling over. It's not, and you're not sure if it's intending to hurt you, but you're just caught in its wake, getting pulled under. And then Kill, you hop onto your board and you start paddling out as fast as you can. And then we start seeing Zatek playing some kind of signal as he drops the water into, or drops his makeshift speaker onto the water, and he starts playing some kind of signal. And then Jita, what do we see you do as you said you got an awareness test?
So Kill put me on the board.
Yeah, because there's only room for one. I made sure to leave it for her.
Okay, my bad.
And then I start like
launched me off swimming on the board.
Okay, and then so Jita, how was your awareness test? Because you said 12. You were going to do. Okay, you do see. I'll say before this creature kind of cuts off your vision of it, you see Maya just kind of turn and just start swimming as fast as she can towards the shore, splashing around. And there's more than one out here. But you also notice Dr. T start to go under, and the last little bit of his tentacle kind of like zips underneath the water at that point. So you watch that happen. Since you're doing an awareness test, you were kind of preparing something else to do. Was there like a secondary thing that you were going to follow that up with?
Basically, if there was one of those creatures that was about to attack Maya, she was going to shoot it.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not sure if like Dr. T and Maya were in enough of sort of a line that looking at one and readying would be close enough to be able to like shoot at whatever just attacked Dr. T.
They're twice the size of a barn, so yeah, you can go ahead and take a shot at it. It's fine. Yeah, go right ahead. You're gonna fire your rainbows. You're gonna lift the armpit.
Yes, I am firing the rainbows.
Do like a Bo Derek. Put both your
double barrel. I
just made a Bo Derek reference. Jeez. I'm old.
It was a 10. I respect it.
Ah, look at you. Take a point, Grit. That was good. I liked it.
15.
Okay. Yeah, you fire out, and yeah, you absolutely hit it. It's impossible not to hit this thing as you just fire, and we see this rainbow beam leap up out of her armpits or wherever it is you normally fire them for. They skid across the water. The water suddenly becomes no longer dark and becomes bright and colorful and rainbow-like. We see the scales on the sides of this creature light up as well, and we see it impact. And instantly it begins thrashing around way more than it had been before. It was just sort of gently rolling, and now it's kind of splashing around in reaction. What's the damage that you do on that? Let's see if it actually impacts it at all. 6? Okay. Yeah, you don't see it flee, but you do seem to have annoyed it, much like a mosquito bite or something like that. And now it's thrashing around. And Dr. T, you're feeling it's getting a lot more wild and crazy under the water now. Okay. Let me come back to Maya. Maya, how'd you do on your physical roll? How'd you do? I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
16, sorry.
16. Okay, 16. You move with great pace. And I'll say this, you move so fast, you do manage to kind of get out of this weird wake that starts to happen as the one behind you starts to splash around. And you manage to swim so fast that you don't get kind of pulled back, because it seems to be kind of going back and forth and back and forth. And it's kind of creating this vortex of water, bringing everything kind of towards it. But you manage to outpace it. As you're swimming, you notice that there's different bits of ice and debris that are kind of floating in the fjord here and there. But when you look up, you can see off to your right, Maya, standing on top of one of them. You almost have to do a double take because you swear you just saw Zatek, but it's not Zatek. But you do see like this relatively narrow, rail thin, but very tall looking figure dressed in kind of tattered clothing. And you recognize a Zhou mask when you see one at this point. And you see like this very almost blank looking sheath of ice. And then they have like this big old spear. It's makeshift. You can see it's like just something they put together with whatever they had around. And they're just standing on this sheath of ice and just kind of watching you and watching all of you with that like sort of blank curiosity that a Zhao's mask will provide sometimes. And his head just sort of tilted off to the side. It's not saying anything, not doing anything, not attacking, but you see it as you turn your head up to get a breath. Okay. So we're going to go back around then. So at this point, Jita, you're floating out into the water, shooting rainbows. You've angered one of them. Dr. T is getting drowned beneath it because of it. Kill, you started to swim out as well. So Jita, Kill, and Dr. T are all right around like the one that's kind of thrashing around at this point. Zatek, you're still on the shore and you're playing that weird music. Or that weird
blasting
signal.
As much as I can into the water to try and
as Jita's like
want to leave,
moving along on this little like float of metal. She's like looking back to Kill and making sure that like Kill is like keeping up with her, hopefully keeping pace. Because this might go poorly.
So,
Fine.
Zatek, let's start with you then. What signals are you sending? Like
I'm basically just trying to do like noise pollution as much as possible to bother them and make them leave us.
Okay.
That's my goal.
You have like an 18,
flooding
right?
with as much noise. Yeah,
okay.
18. And then I get 2 successes because I have that thing where if I get a bonus, it's actually 2. But if I get a fail, it's 2 as well.
All right. What I'll say to you, one of the things you see is there were multiple large shadows in the water. One of them is now thrashing around by Dr. T. One of them is sort of skirting near Maya. You see a third one now leap up and like just this basking leap right up out of the water, like breaching the surface. And it seems to coincide with the time in which you put that in, and it comes up into the air, flips like the Prudential commercial, and then just smashes right down into the surface, just sending water everywhere. And it does seem to be irritating them. You look off like maybe 20 meters to your left, and you see another one suddenly come up to the surface, off to the right. Whatever it is you're doing, whatever signal you're sending is really starting to irritating them. But what's happening is it's creating this like sort of this rough chop, and Dr. T still hasn't resurfaced. Okay.
I continue.
It's definitely irritating. It's having 100% of effect. They seem to be very, very agitated by it. Okay. Maya, at this point, with your extra success, I'm going to say you're outside of its like the wake zone. And you don't think you're getting pulled back in. You do, if you sneak a peek behind you, you can see the chaos that is starting to ensue. You think you've outpaced it. But again, that figure off to the right, a little ways away, on that sort of little island debris in the fjord, not doing anything. What would Maya do next? And you're seeing like your crew behind you is having a little bit of trouble.
She's gonna yell as loudly as she can. I'm fine. Go back. I'm fine. I don't need your help. I'm fine.
Okay. We'll say some of that comes through. It's something along the lines of like back. I need your help. Back. Something like that comes through over the splashing and over the weird frequency that Zatek is playing in the water.
And gesturing with my hands. I don't know if that helps.
Fair enough. Wildly gesturing with your hands. Jita and Kill, what do you do at this point?
I mean, if So Jita's floating. I'm the one who's freeform swimming, and he did go under. I need to try and find him before he goes sinking too far. And I have a terrible way to bring him back in, which I want to do while Chuck is away.
Okay, let's
I've
do
got
it
the
then.
grappling hook. I want to shoot him with the grappling hook.
All right, give me an awareness test as you dip under and see if you can find him.
Okay.
So we'll get this done while he's gone.
Okay, good. Awareness. Oh, my awareness is pretty solid now.
Okay.
I don't like you.
12 is needed. If you get more, or if you get like 16 or something, we'll give you like a bonus
I
on
got
your shot.
13, which
13's
is,
enough. 13's enough to spot him, and you see like one of his tentacles is kind of like caught in between what looks like these like pulsing like scales as it rolls, and it's sort of contorting the water as the scales like open and close. One of the tentacles seem to have gotten caught, and he's just kind of getting dragged and spun and dragged. It's almost like a crocodile attack in a way. Go ahead and fire your grappling hook. And see if you can, yeah.
We do have audience bits if you wanted to do like a reroll of any one particular dice.
I totally forgot about that.
Do that, yeah. We'll give that a try. We'll see how it goes on its own.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe you won't need it.
And hire Rich on that.
Fuck me, 111. I'm gonna grit that. Wow! I just shoot a whale in the eye or something stupid.
Oh my god! Triple
I'm
ones.
gonna grit that.
I'm sorry.
With that roll, you're gonna shoot Dr. T
You
in
actually
the eye.
can't. You can't. You cannot.
Okay.
That's a crit fail. You can't reroll 3 1s. I just looked it up.
You just
God!
impaled him to the whale.
Oh god!
Oh man!
As the grappling hook fires down through the water, it does, but instead of helping him, it kind of like wraps and then it like kind of embeds into the scales of the creature, and you suddenly find yourself getting sucked down with it. And so Kill, holding on to the rope of the grappling hook, you are now getting pulled under. And not only that, because it's 3, the 2 of you are getting pulled even deeper as the rest of you on the surface watch as this originally thrashing whale creature begins to descend, begins to fall a little bit further into this deep, deep, deep water. And Kill is not back up. Now there's Dr. T. Okay. Keep track of the things that you wanted from their dead bodies because they might have it on them. So,
Ooh.
All right, Jita, you watch as Kill just gets yoinked right away from you. You're now floating freely on your surfboard here. What does Jita do?
Well, that now makes 2 members of the crew under the water. So under the water seems like where the party is at.
It's not like they're really important. They're just the tank and the healer. That's all.
Fine.
Okay.
So I can go like 7
now.
minutes without breathing. It's okay.
Okay.
Yeah. Jita is going to... She can help.
Okay. How? Customarily, one describes how it is they help.
I'm debating in my brain between, like, if I see him getting pulled down, part of me wants to like shoot to cut the rope of the thing that's cutting him down, and that like I'm helping, and then that's gonna be really bad, or just jumping off and swimming. But I think she's on a safe place, so I think she's just gonna try through the water to shoot the rope of the grappling hook and help.
It's a very difficult shot, but yeah. So I'm going to say difficulty is we're going to put it like I'm going to say 16, as it was a crit fail. He's getting sucked under. The rope is really tight. You're going through water. So I'm going to say a 16 will snap the thread here.
Okay.
We'll save Kill, but it will doom Dr. T.
Oh, okay. So my hit dice, I got a 6 and a 1, so I'm going to re-roll one of them.
Okay. Use effort.
Get another 6.
Re-roll the 1. Remember, it's starting to come back. Strong hit.
And I've got a plus 9 on this, so I'm going to be at a.
You're at 15 so far. Just roll. Okay. All right. So when you re-rolled, what did you get?
6.
Okay. So you re-rolled another 6? You just kept banking the 6s?
Yeah, and then I stopped because it didn't matter because I'm gonna be well above the 4 extra.
All right. So what I will say is, because you're well above the 4 extra, you happen to get like the perfect shot. You fire down, and not only does your rainbow beam cut through the water, it cuts through the rope. And Kill, you find yourself suddenly free. Like, your momentum goes down a little bit, but you stop. And you can still see, plunging into that deep, dark water is this whale and Dr. T. And you almost can't even see Dr. T anymore until this rainbow bright beam goes past you. And you see it's just like color, color, color. And all of a sudden, there's a bit of an explosion down. And it's right around where Dr. T is, to the point where, I'm going to say, it hits the scales of this whale creature, and it's going to dislodge Dr. T from it. So now Dr. T is floating in the water, deep, we'll say 20 feet under. The whale is continuing to whale fall, okay? But Dr. T is 20 feet underneath, 20 feet under the water. So, but he's now dislodged from the whale.
I'm saved.
Ish.
Okay.
Ish. Okay, so Zatek, what?
Mm-hmm.
So you've been playing this tune to try to like just destabilize them, and it is irritating them. And you're watching all throughout this fjord, like things are popping up, flashing around. Do you continue to do that tune?
I do, and I'm gonna start ramping it up and maybe like walking out into the water. My goal is to try and like drive them away from us.
Okay.
By blasting.
All
us.
right. I won't. You rolled so well. You had extra successes. What I'll say is, like, you are irritating them and one by one you can see like they're breaching up, and then they start diving, and like it's the water is extraordinarily choppy. But these creatures that were up by the surface are starting to descend now to get away from it, and you can see they're one by one are starting to slip down. Maya, anything you're doing as you watch the whales begin to flee?
If the whales are fleeing and it looks like Kill and potentially Harty are not in immediate danger anymore, then there's nothing particularly she's doing apart from just waiting.
Just getting to the edge. Okay, yeah, no problem. So then the last thing I'll just need then is a roll from Dr. T. Give me a physical to see if you can get back up without any issues.
Yeah.
Good call, Joe, by the way, with that speaker.
Clever. I liked it. Super clever.
Mm-hmm.
Whales hate noise.
I upgraded from an 8 to a 9. I will grit this.
You do
one.
have a 6. You have a 6.
Okay.
So you could spend that an effort to reroll the 2. Yeah.
Yep. Let's do that.
You roll the 1.
Okay, I'm back to an 8.
Get a 1.
Okay, so now you can grit it if you want. Yeah.
No, I'll grit it.
Okay. Okay.
I'm down to a 6.
All
How
right,
do
so
you
here's
keep getting worse in your rolls?
Chuck. I've forgotten
This game.
Chuck and Fragged and Fire's rolling system. They just just like oil and water.
Oh Lord.
Okay. I will say this though. At this point, like the whales were never really attacking you. It was more just kind of curious, and now they're fleeing because of this strange noise. It's creating some chop and some rough waters, and maybe like there's a weird current here or there. But I'll say, Kill, you're still under the water. Give me a physical. See if you can grab Dr. T.
Yeah.
So he doesn't kind of get caught up in one of these currents.
Sure. Physical. There we go. Got that.
Yeah.
6, 8. Reroll you. Okay. Well, that's 9 plus 2 is 11. I could use an audience, or do I need to call for the audience thing ahead of time?
No, it's just like a one die reroll we use.
I'll re-roll my 2 here. My stupid 2 that I don't like.
Please don't get a 1. Please don't get a 1. Son of
I'm gonna grit this because I rolled 1.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
It's all right. It's okay.
It's okay. We got
Let's
tools.
do
You got
another
tools.
triple 1.
I just want to get all these things out so that when I attack you with the real danger on the island,
yes,
you have nothing to use. But think of all the free shit you guys are going to be able to collect from your dead bodies.
That's a good point. So now I've got
those of you who survive. Okay, 13 is enough. Okay, so I will say that as you guys scare away, Jita, you manage to break the tether. Maya, you keep swimming. Zatek, you're using that strange frequency to drive them a little crazy. Kill, you dive down, you grab Dr. T, you bring him back up. I'm going to say, Dr. T, you took 3 points of endurance damage just from like the sheer force of getting pushed and pulled down. But one by one, with them out of the way, crossing becomes relatively easy. There's debris, there's these sheets of ice. Maya, as you swam for the shore, you watch as like that sheet of ice that happened to have that other Zhou just kind of floats past. And the whole time he's just kind of standing and watching, floating down the fjord, just watching and watching until
he gives him a short wave.
And he does like the Last Crusade thing where he just raises one hand up high in the air and then brings it back down. And so then I'll say that the rest of you are able to cross. You're able to get Jolene across as well. And you have made it to the other side. You have made it to this strange mist-covered island. What do you guys do when you first get across?
Cough out like a few shrimp and a bunch of water.
Doing the thing where like it's almost like baby CPR. You're trying to find the place to put like 2 fingers to like.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah, you can fly, but you don't do well underwater, though, right?
I didn't have a chance to show off my swimming skills. It was just all like the it sucked me down.
That was really scary. And then killed. Then you went right after.
That was pretty awesome. I mean,
it would not for being up here floating on this thing, and then he just goes down.
I mean, sure, it was scary, but it was still pretty awesome.
Don't feel bad about messing it up. You've never shot a whale with a grappling hook before.
That's right. I'd never have done that because that would be wrong.
Did you see how I like accounted for like the distortion in the water?
That was a hell of a
hit
shot.
it, like,
I honestly
right on.
I thought I was gonna, get a trim, but it was really good.
Maya, if you had been on this, it would have been such a cool shot for you.
I
to like
really
watch
wish I had my camera out, but that Legion lady said I wasn't allowed to record down here, so it's very annoying to me that I didn't get any of you doing any of that because that was very awesome.
Your light looked cool in the water too.
Anyone else see the Zhou?
The what?
I was underwater.
The Zhou with the spear just now.
Where?
And Maya will try to find the floating ice.
And there, just this you're not sure if it's debris or ice. It's just this like island little thing floating in the fjord, nice and slow and quiet. And you can see there is a figure standing on top of it, and it's just like quite literally going with the flow in the sort of soft current of the fjord.
He's waving.
I'll wave
again.
slowly at him.
Okay. You start the wave, Zatek. And again, they have their arm up and they're getting kind of smaller and smaller as they drift away. And they have on like crude clothing. Like it's not like you with your nice looking lab coat or whatever it is, like that kind of like they're clearly have pieced together and patched together whatever they have. And they look so out of place to find. Like you find occasionally other Zhou, but this one just sort of strikes you as a little bit odd. It's then that go ahead.
Are they like a mostly humanoid kind of form, or are they like a pretty weird looking shape overall?
No, they are tall, slender, and I'll say because they're looking at you and waving, their mask is just sort of it almost looks like a sheath of ice, and like there's just the holes where one would put there's not actual eyeballs there, but like the holes there just to make it look like something to talk to. You, however, as you're watching those attack, you hear like a crackle on your intercom or on whatever it is that you normally communicate with each other with, and you hear a voice that you've probably not heard in a little while. but you immediately recognize it as Sateas. This like you just hear help is anyone there, help SOS, and it's like this broken up message. It is clearly like garbled, and it's almost robotic in how it's being kind of conveyed. It's like what happens when Zoom is starting to lose your connection. You have that kind of feel to it, right? But it's a name it's a voice you recognize, and as they're calling out for help, they're like identifying self, like they're like Sateas, engineer, second class, and this is what you hear. What do you do with it?
Very quickly, I'm going to be looking around. Is like, does anyone else hear this? And then I'm going to just, even though I know it's not going to help me, I'm going to be trying to like triangulate where it's coming from. It's going to be a bunch of gibberish, but trying everything I can to figure out where is this signal coming from. And you're trying. You've had trouble this whole time, except for Ajax's locator beacon, which even that was always been kind of more like a vector as opposed to like a specific point. You do think they're close, actually, as it does seem to be some here within the island. And as you're moving about, and like occasionally, almost like you're holding up like a radar dish, like the message comes clearer and then it dips. It's on repeat. It's just that same thing, identifying who they are. Sateas, engineer second class, Palantor, requesting assistance, over and over. And it's just like this repeating SOS. You also notice as you turn that on the ground, you can see that there are these footprints on the ground. They're kind of blocky looking. They don't look like anything that you all would be wearing. And they just kind of light up. They just start to illuminate in front of you. And you just turn and you stop and you see a line of them extending out from the water, like they just walked up out of the water deeper into the island. I'm quickly following those as fast as I can, holding my thing up, scanning.
The rest of you just see Zatek go. Yeah.
Where are you going?
I hear something. Someone needs help.
Oh, okay. Well, Dr. T, are you better enough? Did you like heal yourself?
I'm fine. Yeah, Gil, you just carry me for a while.
So my shoulders, totally not in a paternal fashion at all.
Nephilim going for a piggyback ride on a
like father and son just going out for a hike.
I can see everything up here.
Okay, so do you all follow Zatek?
Yeah.
Okay, so as you leave the shore area and you start kind of first it's like a gentle incline, like this kind of rocky, muddy gray earth, and eventually it turns into like a little heavier ridge, but it's not anything that the five of you can't get over. It's super easy, but it does seem to create this barrier. And then you get up and you're on like a kind of a grassland for a bit, and you can see these long, slender stalks of grass just come up and kind of tickle alongside. It comes up almost to your waist, and each time you move through them, they kind of slap against each other and they slap against you. You hear just like this little sound, almost like they're creating like a little bit of music, like a ding, 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 like a chime almost. And they have like a thickness to them, and as you're moving about, you notice trees begin to start to form here and there. The mist starts to wrap around you, but then you realize that it doesn't really wrap around you as much as it seems to sort of flank behind you. It has almost like a mind of its own. You just watch as this kind of off gray mist that is, 20, 30 feet off the ground. It begins to just surround you, but it leaves this open space as you walk through this grassland. And as it repositions itself, you watch in front of you, the island kind of visually starts to open up. And it's very rocky. You notice that there's a lot of these like rocky looking hills, And as you start passing by some of them, you realize not all of them are hills. It actually just looks like big pile of debris, like construction debris, like old debris, long grown over. So you can see like piles of beams and walls and brick, mortar and metal and plastics. But you can see overgrown with all sorts of this very verdant green moss and grass and plant life. You can see like trees are sprouting up as well. And as you pass by a few of those, you start to look up again and you see some of those tall buildings now in front of you. They're like old skyscrapers, partially decayed, like skeletons now almost. Some floors still intact. A few of them go up very high. In the distance, you can see what looks like 3 or 4 like rocky spires that seem to kind of like weave up between them here and there. So it's like it's creating this weird forest-like look to it, like giant redwoods. But instead of redwoods, half of them are old buildings and half of them are these like rocky outcropping growths. All the while in the ground is you're coming across debris, you're coming across old equipment. You see the base of a broken crane of some sort, earth movers, stuff that you've seen elsewhere. It's not corp, but you understand the tech. Like just looking at it, doesn't look so arcane that you don't understand it. So as you push into like this city, the ruins of this city, I just want to go around like, what is everybody doing as we're pushing further and further? So let's just do one at a time. So Zatek, what are you up to as you're pushing further? Is there something you're keeping your attention on?
And then to clarify, so is this like different looking than the type of ruins we found earlier where the Farron thing was?
Yeah, so that was, you were like in a series of canyons, and then there are these like honeycombed apartments on the high up in the walls. Yes, this looks different. This certainly looks different.
This looks probably more like old human almost.
Yes.
Remains.
Yeah.
From what we've seen.
I'm not even going to make you roll for it. I think the notion of humans and the generalized idea of some of like the cities and ruins they've left behind is such a popular topic for like fortune hunters and explorers that I would say you would all have a vague inkling that this might be what it is. And it's Hypnos too, and like the obelisks and such, or that you see at the poles and along the equator and elsewhere. All of those are human made anyway, or human engineered. So it's not a surprise.
Okay. Yeah, I'm trying to hone in more and more. This whole time as I've been running, I'm trying to kind of funnel in my signal, maybe like make it more of a dish. I've been messing with it, so it's more directional. I can try and decide where it's coming from.
Give me an electronics roll, and then Maya, what are you doing as the crew is starting to push further into this ruined city?
Looking for trade goods among the debris we're passing.
Okay, yeah. I would say roll any kind of anything, whatever you choose to roll here is what you'd probably discover. So if you did like biotech, you might find something more naturalistic. If you find mechanics, you might find something like metals and plastics that are salvageable. So it's kind of up to you, but in terms of what you roll.
Well, they're both equally terrible. So I will roll mechanics because I know Kick and Kill can probably do cool stuff with mechanics stuff.
Sounds good. Dr. T, what are you doing?
Well, if it's an old abandoned city, I'm going to be looking for remains.
Okay.
Any sign of the former inhabitants, the dead.
Gotcha.
Anything like that. Yeah.
Okay. Medicine, awareness, I would say either of those are fine. Whatever you prefer.
I'll give you
Jita, what are you doing as you guys are pushing through?
So Jita's version of like taking notes about something that she observes is basically kind of taking some metal off of some chain or something that she's got on her. And then she's basically like taking the metal, you know, kind of almost those like wall art where you have just sort of like the outline of a city and like skyscraper kind of a thing. And so she's basically like, that's how she's sort of taking notes of what this looks like, is by kind of bending some metal around for, you know, kind of the foliage and the buildings and whatnot. But essentially she's taking notes of what she sees.
Okay. Sure. You can do some kind of culture test, maybe, since you're kind of trying to get a sense of the place, of the buildings and the substances, the materials, the fauna, all that kind of stuff. So culture probably encompasses all of that. And then Kill, as the group is pushing in, what are you up to, man?
I think honestly he's kind of with mine because his initial instinct had been to like look at these old construction equipment things. Maya's kind of already looking at the mechanical things. So while she's doing that, he might chit chat with her about like what might be some good parts to look at. But then he can't help but have his mind wander for a worst case scenario. And not that he wants to blow up these ancient, buildings, but if you had to, like let's say you're being chased in some big dramatic exit, if you had to, where could you run through and possibly shoot at something with a grenade to make the building collapse on somebody?
Okay. All right. We could just do... I mean, honestly, awareness probably is fine.
If you had to destroy an ancient city.
I guess you can roll mechanics. If you're looking specifically for like some of the ruins that you might be able to quickly cause
He's
collapse
looking
to.
for his straight-to-video action finale set piece.
Depending on what you roll, you might get different information. So let me know what skill you end up rolling. So whether it's awareness or mechanics. So
I'll do mechanics because he's looking for blowing something up.
Okay.
In fairness, that's what we said earlier. I'll stick with it. 11,
that's fine.
14,
All right.
17.
So yeah, so we'll just kind of loop back around. So then Kill, as you're pushing through, you start noticing, obviously the buildings themselves are ridiculously old, right? And they're not of Mondian design. Like you are Legion, you know that within the Cerberus system itself, there are many Mondian ruins on top of which Legion have built their own cities. So like you would be familiar with it. But you can tell that this is different. This has more of that ancient, like human design to it. Now, generally in the setting, humans are not like special in the sense of biologically. It's what they create that is like is so interesting. And it probably doesn't surprise you too much to realize that like the infrastructure of these buildings has survived as long as they have. Like, and they have like while some of the materials have certainly eroded, like the infrastructure, the foundations. But what you also notice is that coming up out of the ground, there's these huge cracks in the ground, crevices and stuff. You actually have to veer around them from time to time. And like only like Dr. T, if he's flying, can get across, and you have to come around. And you can see a lot of these like rock or crystalline twisting growths are like coming up out of the ground like a bean sprout almost, and they wrap around some of the buildings here and there to the point where you feel like you might have some difficulty blowing and destroying entire buildings, because they almost seem to sort of wrap around them in a way like they're using the buildings, or at least at some point they use the buildings as like that foundation for growth, because they're like, even though it's crystalline, it's very plant-like and vine-like in its growth. So you feel like you would have a little bit of trouble to knock an entire building down, but shouldn't have any trouble knocking a wall down here, a wall down there. Like that shouldn't be too much difficulty, because it's really just the foundation that looks to be locked in. Any place that has a building, or excuse me, any building that has like a wall still or a floor still, that shouldn't take more than just a quick shot. Like just that quick explosive shot, one of your grenades probably would send some debris flying.
Hooray.
No issues. Okay. Jita, how did you do?
15.
15. And you were just trying to like kind of take these notes and such?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you using this as your free research? Don't you get a free research every session?
Yes.
I think you do. You can take this as your free research.
I do. And yes, this is the free.
I think it's you and Zatek that get them. So yeah. Okay. So
yeah, I get a free philosophy thing.
Okay.
For research.
It's been a while. We're a little rusty, but yeah, I think that sounds right. Okay. So, I mean, what you're noticing, Jita, not unlike what Kill's seeing, is that like you can very much tell that there are like this ruin is multifaceted in some ways. Like on the one hand, it's this ancient human buildings, or at least the infrastructure for those buildings. But you also see a lot of the machinery that you're passing by is much newer, much more recent. And some of it only has like, maybe it's 10 years old, 20 years old. Maybe even one or two of them actually do have like a corpse symbol. And you think some of it looks kind of like some of the movers that the Legion might use. Or in some cases, you actually do find evidence of like that kind of hive growth, that hive design that's characteristic of Bondian. So you think as you're detailing and researching this, that there's layers upon layers. You're pretty sure this started as a human settlement. At some point, the Mondians probably came in here and tried to do a thing. At some point, maybe the Legion or the Corp tried to do something. Like, you're pretty sure that whatever this place is, people have tried to build on top of it for some reason, over and over and over again. And the last thing you notice, I'll say, is that of all of these, like those weird kind of curving vine-like crystal growths, you do notice that there are 3 spires that are like center of the city, that are almost as tall and as sturdy looking as, you know, some of these buildings themselves. So you're pretty sure some of the crystal growth might eventually be like that as well.
And so, Cheetah, just to make sure that I'm kind of putting what Cheetah would know about the universe. So this is a very unresearched area because it's like so protected by like Legion. So this is like seeing behind the veil kind of a thing for Cheetah.
So I think what you guys would know so far was that there are obelisks at the poles and there are obelisks along the equator. The specific use of them is unclear. There's theories, and the theory is somehow involved with like ley dust, right? The storms, trying to make this place habitable, trying to create something to keep the storms away or to manipulate them in some way. It's kind of unclear. So there are different theories. And so you know that was human. This was a human terraformed planet long ago. But it hasn't really been inhabited because of its proximity to all those ley storms, because of the effects that it's having on your memory and your mind. And anybody who tries to live here for longer than a couple of days is going to be an amnesia person. So, so what you're getting is that there have been attempts to do so. Even the Legion themselves have probably attempted to do some things here.
So I would say Cheetah definitely is just kind of talking out loud, sort of as she's kind of doing this, you know, kind of like metal bending and whatnot. And she just has that sort of like excitement and curiosity around like, well, it seems like they tried and then they tried and then they tried and we're here and now we're trying to do the best that we can. And Kill, isn't this so interesting? And so she's just sort of like getting very kind of into like what she's trying to figure out. Right, Kill? Like,
yeah,
this very...
Like, I could just imagine, like, I could shoot the floor right there, and then they would probably fall like 40 feet. They'd impale themselves on the rebar over there.
Why would you? But this is like archaeological. Why would?
Yep.
Why?
Amazing culture. And
are you? This is. Are you doing this like in case? We're not here for demolitions, right?
No.
We're not.
Preparedness is key. I would never
security.
want to
security. Well, you're Legion. You're always thinking about security.
Well, exactly. I would never blow up an ancient artifact just for the fun of it. That would be wrong. Like shooting a whale.
Snickering loud enough for a kill to hear.
And Gita keeps excitedly bending metal.
Okay. Dr. T, you were looking for bodies and such, right? So yeah, give me how'd you do on your roll?
22.
Oh my gosh.
Wow.
Okay.
Wow.
You see all
found
the
thing for you to roll in this game.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Don't do anything that like would save your life, but
yeah.
22. Holy crap.
He's an archaeologist.
So so it's medicine. So you're looking for, okay. So I'll say, you're going to get a bunch of things. So first thing you notice is that there are bodies. Definitely recent kills or deaths. As you see that there are in some of these, not necessarily like beneath the rubble, but you just see just a body here. But it could be in the street. It could be slumped against a wall at the base of one of the buildings that Kill is looking at. It could be slumped against one of these growths of crystal, but you see them. everywhere. Like they're not extraordinarily difficult to find at all times, but a few of them are a little trickier. And they're dressed, well, I mean, they're dressed fairly modern. You're recognizing certain brand names on clothes. And when you examine them, they haven't been dead that long. Some of them days, some of them weeks, some a little older than that. But you find a couple dozen bodies. What's that?
Corp bodies, or
it's a mix. You definitely see some Legion. The most recent bodies that you find, Dr. T, there are 3 Legion bodies that you see that are dressed in a uniform not unlike the one you saw Ajax in. Definitely has a different ranking insignia, but otherwise it's the same. So you see 3 of them, and they, with a 22, like you're trying to sort out like exactly what killed them, and it's some kind of cardiac. You think like their hearts just basically just burst, or they died out on that. Like they look to be in relatively good condition otherwise, and they all have like this they're like just staring like upward or downward with like this lost look in their eyes when you come across them. So that's one thing.
Okay, that's messed up. Okay.
You see other things as well because you have a lot.
Yes.
As you're looking around, and I imagine everyone's searching within relative eyesight and earshot of each other, so you're not gonna. I don't assume you're splitting up too much. A couple times people look at this crystal growing up at the ground. Dr. T, you notice like there's this other kind of strange substance on the ground, and it's like a ashier color of this crystal. And the crystal is like kind of like a dark black or dark navy brown, navy blue or something. It's very, very dark. And you notice that next to any of these crystal growths is this kind of ashy, grayish colored. It almost looks like a crumpled up like comforter or blanket, but when you touch it, it is like crusty and it kind of falls away in your hands a bit. And it dawns on you that it's kind of like a snake shedding its skin in a way. As you look at it, and you just from where it is relative to where this crystal growth is. So that's another thing you notice. And then you also notice that there are these, like with Kill, these big crevices in the ground from which these crystal growths are coming out. And here and there, you actually notice there's a body encased in that crystal.
Okay.
But when you look at one of them, you realize, again, 22, that is not Legion. It's not Palantor. That is not Twyfar, or Kaltoran, or even another Nephilim, as far as you can tell. I'm going to give it to you. It looks, you swear to God, that looks like a Mondian. It's got this...
Okay.
It's sort of like half moon, large, angular, like large, like very tall, thin head. It still has like your basic eyes and a nose, but it's like this kind of sloping chin that comes out. The forehead comes forward, long limbs, long legs, kind of a more sort of slender, frail body. But they are encased in this crystal, and they look in perfect condition. Now, the Mondians have been killed off for a very long time by your people. And, not your brood, but, your people.
That's great.
So that's all that you get.
It's exciting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. You can think about what you want to do with it, and we'll cycle back to Maya, and we'll come back for another round. So, Maya, you've been going through some of the debris. How'd you do on your roll?
I failed, and I grit, and I failed again. Just a 10 is what I ended up with.
Okay. What I'll say is you don't really find anything you think is worth taking away, but as you are going through a lot of the debris, what looks like some of these buildings have collapsed here or there, older stuff, you do find that there are these large chunks of, you presume, wall. Some of them are plastic, some of them are some other kind of composite. You can see there's like murals on them that it's hard to kind of piece together exactly what it is because they're not in great condition, but it almost looks like like a visual aid, like instructional aid on some of these things for like how to do this or where to go for that. And you see like the generically understood shape of what a human is, like that bipedal form, that bit-blank bipedal form, kind of going and doing anything, operating this or operating that, directing in different directions. None of it's easy enough for you to like just tuck away, but it's hard not to see if you're sifting through the debris. Okay. Zatek, how did you do?
16.
Okay. So you were... I'm sorry, refresh my memory. What were you trying to... What did you roll? What skill?
I was trying to modify and like pinpoint the dish of this signal down more.
Sure.
Make it more of a narrow band so I can locate where this broadcast is coming from.
You are with 100% certainty that both Ajax's locator and your device is directing you pinpoint accuracy towards those 3 giant looking crystal outcroppings in the center of the city that seem to actually dwarf, like 3 fingers coming up over the remaining building, the remaining skyline. You're pretty sure it's coming right from there. And it's only a couple hundred meters away.
Am I also still seeing the like footprints? Like the squarish footprints?
Everywhere. I should say also that no one else is seeing those.
That's fine. That doesn't matter.
Since you haven't brought that up, you don't know that no one else is seeing it. So I'm not confident yet.
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll say that this is like the first half an hour or 45 minutes or so of you kind of breaching from the beach line into the outskirts of this ruined city area and kind of dipping further and further inwards. And so this is all the things that you're filing, you're learning. So what do you guys all do with that? How do you follow up on this kind of stuff?
Another question I have, you said the fog is kind of like not as strong here. Like we're able to see a lot farther.
Oh, it's extremely strong. It just seems to sort of like have a mind of its own. It just sort of blocked off your way back. And you can see that it seems to sort of give you a path to walk in. It's like it's circling and moving around you. It's the weirdest effect. If you would like, you could make I'll take a biotech if you wanted to give me a biotech roll and see if you can draw some more interesting conclusion about that.
Yeah, and I'm curious too if our time perception still feels like it's equally messed up here. So we haven't done our wrist things in a bit.
Yeah, you guys haven't actually.
Good call.
All right. Oh, that's a lot of ones.
I'm going to grit that.
That's a lot of ones.
That's a lot of
I'm
twos.
Gonna grit that too.
Oh boy. Yeah.
That's some sixes.
Hey, there we go.
That's way better. You want to reroll that one with a strong effort or with an effort?
Yeah.
See if you can get super high. Yeah. You have another one. So.
I do have another one.
That's right.
So what are your rerolls?
Do it.
You are just destined to roll one.
That makes it a
time.
17 because my reroll is still plus 1.
That's not bad.
That's still
You
really
want to
good.
spin an audience
That's
just to give it one more shot?
Stop it.
No, that's fine.
Stop it. Okay.
Oh, come on.
Cheater. Gotta let it go. All right. One of the things you can conclude, Zatek, with a 17 is that the mist seems to be avoiding the crystal. Like you can, so one of the reasons why it's circling around you is that you're pushing further and further into the city. And the further you get into the city, the more of these crystalline vines are snaking through it. And because you got a 17, I'm going to give you unintended consequences. You make another interesting connection. The substance that you see these crystals is like this dark, matte, crystalline growth. Now it's very natural here. But you saw an obelisk back on the Polaris Australis station, right?
I was an ass.
And it looks like the same substance. Obviously, the obelisk was refined a bit more. This is more natural growth. This looks very much like the same material that the obelisk was made out of. And from everyone's understanding, everyone's working theory is that humans at some point were trying to build these obelisks to keep the storms away or manipulate storm movements, something like that. And here you are watching this weirdness happen around you.
Do we know anything about if people have touched the obelisk and had adverse effects?
You don't know that, no. You don't have any knowledge of that, I would say.
So I want to touch some of this crystal stuff and see what happens.
Okay. All right. So you walk up, you touch it. Give me a resolve test.
I'm looking for because you say it's growing, so I'm looking for if there's any thin piece that's kind of budding up that I can.
Oh, of course, yeah. No problem.
Yeah. Resolve test?
Resolve. I think it's resolve. Hang on.
Nice.
Yeah, resolve. I had it right.
Do you tell us that you're going to go touch this so that we can watch you?
I'm not hiding that I'm doing it.
I feel like we're all relatively nearby.
Everyone's doing something though. So let's not meta this. Okay. Everyone's was poking and prodding with different things here and there. So
true.
I'm gonna reroll that.
Zatek hasn't shared anything. He hasn't shared any of his discoveries with anybody.
I got
and
this
he
is
never
18.
will. Okay.
Nope.
18. 18 is a fantastic roll. You're good. You come up and you put your hand on it and you watch as first there's a reaction, kind of like when you put your hand on a TV screen, you see there's a touch of give. It's not like as hard as you thought it would be. There's a touch of give. And then you see lights begin to kind of cascade around where your fingertips put the pressure. It doesn't give all the way. It's not like it's soggy or cushy, but it has that very slight give. The second thing is that you feel this transference starting to happen as you feel your brain begin to swirl a bit. And you feel some of the memories that you have, specifically your memories of your Palantir friend who has been at the forefront of your mind for the last hour because of the signals flooding away from you. Literally they're just erupting out of your brain like water through your fingers, and you're trying to hold on to it, and suddenly you can't remember what she looked like. You remember the sound of her voice, but not what her physical form looks like. It's just gone. And you get in its place, you get a memory implanted. There's a lot of that going on. Except you see what almost looks like a laboratory, like a test facility. You see these huge vats and tanks, and you see these people moving about. They don't look like you, and as far as you know, they could be, maybe they're Corp, maybe they're Legion. They look too slender for a Legion. They're usually a little bit muscular and broader shouldered, even the scientists. But you see them moving about in this vat, and you see coming up from the vats these massive vats. You see some of these crystal growths there, and you watch an explosion happen.
Because Jolin showed me a hologram of people at the last Mondian people. Do they look like Mondian people?
They do. They very much do. Okay. And so you see them moving about. They're kind of tinkering, screwing around with things, and you see this flash of an explosion happens by one of the vats, and it just sends this eruption in the room, and then you find yourself pushed and ejected away from the physical contact you had with this crystal structure, and you're on the ground now. You no longer remember what your Palantir friend looks like, but you have this image in your head of that explosive scenario inside of that vat farm, that crystal vat farm.
Okay.
And I'll say at this point, because that
do
was
I not hear the broadcast?
He literally got ejected, like some sort of comical electrical shock. At this point, you all see him just get launched away from it. What was your question, Zatek? I'm sorry.
Do I not hear the broadcast anymore after this?
No, you do. You do.
Oh, I do hear the broadcast.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Don't touch the crystals. They explode your brain and your body.
But they don't actually explode?
I guess I'm going to look back. Does anything look physically deformed where I touched it?
No, everything looks to be in the exact same condition it was when you touched it. And again, it's not as refined as the obelisk, but it has the same materials.
But if you kicked your opponent into one, it might blow them away.
Yeah, it might be bad.
Really know.
But it hurt and it messed with my head a little bit. And I saw this bat of them growing this stuff, and then it blew up, and it was bad. But this crystal stuff's the same stuff that the obelisk is, but it's like
They look like the crystals.
But you touch it and you learn stuff.
Yeah, I saw stuff and I traded some memories. I think I don't remember if I did that.
Well, I
saw them
stuff.
growing stuff. And then, do I see that Mondian thing that Chuck was like looking at?
It's up to Chuck.
That was.
It's if Chuck decides to share that.
Yeah, I was going to share it because I'm going to need Kill's help.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I saw a bunch of those people like making vats of this stuff, and then it blew up, and then I got blown up and thrown.
So they were.
Also, my friend's here. I hear him.
I thought we left Boars back behind.
Or her.
I lose
Boris
track
is here.
Who's Boris? Okay.
Boris is here with us.
I was so weird. What happened?
We made it across the whales, and I still hear my broadcast of my friend. She's here. And then Ajax is here too. They're over by those spires.
Is that who needs help? Your friend?
I think so. It's like a SOS beacon thing. It looks like they've been here. I see their footprints. I'm pointing at the footprints that I see.
What do you see?
Could they be any of this wide variety of corpses that I found?
While Zatek is looking at the corpses, I'm going to go look at the crystals. I have a couple of the ones that we pulled out of the Legion on my person. Do they look similar at all?
They do. Definitely looks like the same. Now, the ones you have are a little like, they're not as, they're much smaller, first of all. But you can certainly tell they're of the same basic like material composite. They're a little cloudier. They're a little more translucent. They're probably not as like, they're either significantly aged to the point where they're like easier to see through and not as opaque, or they're significantly younger. So whatever the life cycle of this crystal is, like you would think it's of this.
Are at the end of one end or the other. Okay.
And yours specifically seems to be, when you look at it, you can see there's stuff kind of displayed in it, like it's storing something. Like there's like some kind of electrical pulse or visual pulse in it that seems to be stored inside of it.
Gita, can you come and take a look at this? And I will point out all those things that you just said to someone who has way better electronics and planets than I do.
What's Jolan doing at this time too?
Jolan's been hanging out with you guys. He's just been like, whoa, the whole time. He's been looking up. He's been digging through things. He's very excited.
Giving him dirty looks and ignoring him.
Yeah, and he's like super oblivious to it. So like you finish doing your dirty look, he turns around, he's like, hey, this is amazing. And he's seizing this wonderful element of awe, we'll say. Okay. So
yeah, Dr. T was going to show Kill some of the stuff.
Oh yeah, no, Kill, I need you to break this one here open, remotely.
Yeah, don't touch it. It hurts your brain and your body.
Remotely.
Kill might be immune to that,
shoot
actually.
Or something, or
yes, intensely shoot it, because there's a meaty inner nougat that I would really like some samples of. That way we can have our own Mondian clones.
Sounds ethical.
Like shooting a whale.
Yeah. Are they endangered on this planet?
I don't know. But
you don't remember. Maybe it was in the debriefing packet, but that was weeks ago.
There's no witnesses, so there's no crime.
So what? I'll try taking a shot at a spot away from it, see if there's even any real reaction to the blaster here. I don't really want to go launching a grenade into that.
Okay, what kind of damage can your grenade do?
So So I'll double check. Actually, if I did the blast, I can do better focused fire, and that one does 10 damage for crit. The grenade does 7 damage with splash and crit 5. But I don't want to mess up his sample, so I'm worried about doing the grenade.
Okay, so you can certainly try, but as you kind of try to be as careful with your shots, you're noticing that it's not like none of your physical shots are managing to crack it. Like you're noticing that it's not doing that. Like nothing's going through, nothing's breaking it. Like there's the explosion, there's an eruption, like there's a bounce or a ricochet. If it's a projectile, all that seems to have that. If you share with each other, the one thing that you get a reaction to is anybody who has an energy weapon. So if you have like the keyword energy on your weapon, you do see that although it doesn't cut it, it certainly seems to do something to it. As you see for a moment, it's like it absorbs that like the colorful burst of energy, and you see it kind of cascading around inside of the shard that you're shooting at.
What are because there's like, you said there was like machines and equipment and things around here. What are those outfitted with? Are they like physical excavator things, or do they have anything that looks like they were trying to mine into this?
Yes. So as you start piecing it together and you're going around, that's exactly what you see. It's a lot of excavation, mining, earth moving, like drills, stuff like that. You see that all over the place. None of it's in good condition. It looks like none of it has been used in several years at least, but that does seem to be what it was.
Okay. Did it look like they were trying to excavate? Because like if physical stuff's not working, does it look like it has like energy implements on them, or did it look like they were kind of trying to dig the earth away from the crystals?
Yeah, it definitely looks like there are some of the more recent machinery you see around here with some like Corp logos and Legion and kind of Legion insignia and such on it. Looks more like drills, like they were trying to go subterranean with it, like they're trying to dig it out at the root.
Okay.
Jita's looking at Maya presented something at her to look at, so Jita's looking at that.
Okay, so it was the shard that Maya had found earlier when you guys are moving to the mist, right? Do I have that right?
Yeah,
okay.
That's right. That's right.
Jita, give me a astronomy. I think it makes the most sense. Yeah.
A side thing I want to do real quick is with Jolin, because this is the place that I told him that I think the Farron went to. I'm going to do my free philosopher role with him, having a dialogue like, where do you think the Farron would have gone here? Does it jump out to you? Like just kind of a side dialogue to get that.
Okay. I'll come back to that in a sec because Melissa is lying about her roll and says she rolled 3 6s.
I did. It's right here. 6 and a 6 and a 6.
Okay. So, even though you're clearly lying, I will nonetheless give you the information. And the information that you very clearly can see is that this, much like some other shards you've seen, much like what you got off the back of Franklin, much like what you were studying inside of your ship when you were attacked. It feels to you like when you look at this, like you're looking inside of it, it's almost like this 3D visualization, kind of like a holographic projection might in your astrophysics lab or I can't remember what you actually astronomy lab, yeah. Like something that might come up as a table and show like a 3D image of like a system and planet and stars. It's like you're looking at that, like you're moving it around and you can kind of see things are shifting and moving. It's like something has been imprinted within it with see, when you roll 3 6s, and I don't have the exact answer off the top of my head because I don't remember it. It looks like the system, I will tell you, is very familiar, but at the same time, it doesn't strike you as any of like this. It's not like Haven, it's not Cerberus, but you swear you've seen it before. So I'm going to do a cop out and say your memory is a little still hazy, but maybe when you get back to your ship and consult your astrophysics databases, you might be able to locate it. But there's something about it that kind of in the back of your mind, like instinctively, Gita, you're really excited. you kind of like,
yeah.
At least sort of the shock of knowing this. Yeah.
Maya, this is so cool. This is another, it's a system. It's like a navigational map of another one. I know. And like, it's right there. It's like, it's so close. I just can't.
I throw out, I don't know the name of it either, but as I'm trying to brainstorm with that and help her remember it, is it potentially the system that the Zhou homeworld's in? Or is it a different one?
Oh, no. Well, I mean, that's probably the one you would be most familiar with. So probably the last one to leave your memory. So if you look at it, it would not have that. And plus, I think Jita has a Twyfar. It's possible she actually might know. I don't know what Jita's history is with Braid or not, but like it's possible Jita.
I thought she did because I thought she was related to how I got off of it.
I that was a backstory thing I think the two of you needed to sort of sort out. Because I know that you escaped and you were like stored in like a ship, but at some point Jita helped you, I think. But Jita would recognize that one too, more than likely. The way I'm playing your memory loss is that the strongest and most recent of your memories are probably the ones that are going to be the last to leave. So that's kind of how I'm playing it. The ones that maybe like are kind of off to the side that you don't think about as often, those are the ones that are leaving. Okay.
Maya, we've got to keep this safe. There's all of these things that every time we look at one of these, we're learning.
Well, I'm happy
as soon as I get back to the ship, I'll remember it.
Continue to carry
I'm sure.
it. Because I've been kind of keeping it like close, like in my inner pockets to kind of keep the temperature up, because I remember that was a big thing, was the ambient temperature of it. So I'm gonna try and keep it back in that inner pocket.
You're doing it. You're doing a great job. I will. It's the tip of my. I'll get it as soon as we get back to the ship. I know. You know, you don't think of it for a while, and then it'll just pop in
the water. I didn't even think about that. But
I'm glad you didn't get destroyed in the water.
No, that was awesome. I wouldn't have gotten. It's fun.
That's what you always say.
I'm still here, right?
Who are you talking to, Jita? You guys just look over and you see Jita is just talking to like a completely empty space. Everyone suddenly forgets that Maya exists.
That would be amazing.
Okay, so Zatek, you were talking to Jolan and theorizing. Mm-hmm. Jolan's going to throw out to you as you're talking and theorizing about Wild Farron, and he's looking up here and there, and you could tell every time he looks up, you look up and you can see like there's weird kind of cloud cover sort of swirling and moving around in a way, and he keeps thinking, and he probably theorizes out like, you know, he's like, I honestly don't remember the voice I use with him, so I'm just going to use Keanu Reeves. So like, there are theories about where the Farron come from, and like, they're just theories. But one is that maybe they're like a species from like a different plane of existence. And then when the ley lines, when the dust cracks, maybe that's where ley dust comes from, and it spews out into our universe from like a completely different universe, and riding the waves, surfing the currents, are the Wild Farrons, because Wild Farrons rule. Yeah.
I like that.
Oh, we need a little air guitar at the end.
I like that, like
really
canonically.
Long walk for that joke, but I'm so here for it.
It was such an enjoyable walk. It was great.
I like to think that this is his actual voice, and he had an act of his previous voice, and he forgot he was doing that.
I totally forgot. I didn't listen back. I totally forgot what voice I was doing for him. So he's Keanu now. Whoa. I am an FBI agent. Sorry. It's like one of my favorite movies. It's Point Break. I love it. All right. What are you guys doing now? So you've been putzing around, looking around, poking around, looking at all these things. There's a lot of stuff to look at. Dr. T, I'll say one thing you do notice is that in addition to some of these that just look like they died, some of them, they were attacked. You can tell by something. You can certainly see gunfire,
the corpses.
Explosive. Yeah, some of them.
Okay.
Not all of them, but some of them. There's definitely there's been some violence done. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I still want some of that Mondo and bits inside the crystals.
Okay.
So I'm just gonna waste a bunch of time. Like I'm gonna try and like drop corpses onto it and like just try to find a way to short the crystal out. Like I want to try to sing at it. Just anything I could do to try and break one of these open.
Okay. All right.
I'm just imagining now Dr. T with the like, oh, was that like Fifth Element or something with like the really high singing to shatter the glass?
Oh
thing?
my God, yes.
That's what, like Dr. T.
Did Melissa just make a Fifth Element reference?
Tentacles too.
I'm so proud. I'm so happy. Fantastic. That was wonderful, Melissa. Take a grit. All right. Dr. T, give me a biotech roll, maybe. Yeah, we'll stick a biotech. Maybe there's something in your equipment or maybe something that somebody else might have.
All right.
That could work. Just treatments here.
13. I'm going to go ahead and grit that.
Okay. See, yeah, your +5 is really good. Oh, that's so much better. 19.
Yeah.
Okay. You have a laser scalpel, correct?
I do.
It is extraordinarily slow going, but you think that you could probably like create a pressure. You can kind of cut enough through it. Like only thing that ever seems to affect these things are energy weapons. This is the only thing that has any kind of effect. But if you modify your laser, it's so pinpoint, so fine, it's so directed that as you test it on some smaller bits, you see you can actually cut through it. It's slow going. It would take you a long time, but you're pretty sure you can probably snip the top and the bottom off and maybe just have like a block of crystallized mondian that you could take back to the ship if you wanted, like encased in carbonite.
Yes.
Okay.
Figure out the details of moving it later. Yeah.
Okay. So you rolled really, really well. So I'll say it won't take forever, but it does take a while. He's using a tiny little laser to cut through a tree trunk, basically, twice. Mm-hmm. So it takes some time. In the meantime, what is everybody doing?
I'm still running towards this SOS beacon that I'm...
Yeah, Maya's pushing hard to do that as well. So joining
we're just calling back like, Dr. T, you can just fly up here and catch up with us when you're done, right?
It's fine. I haven't seen any signs of recent snake activity, so I should be okay.
Okay. And she's pointing at her little like outline of the city, like we got to go to the spires.
Okay, Jita, Maya, Zatek are going towards the spires. The signal, Dr. T is staying behind. Mm-hmm. What is Kill doing?
Are you sure this isn't something we can maybe do on like the way back? Are you gonna carry that with you? Whenever we go.
I hadn't thought that far ahead. I really
Jolan steps in when he says this, and he looks at you, Kill, and he's like, "We're not coming back." Continue.
I really appreciate that vote of confidence there, Doc. So glad you're here. But gonna really make an effort to try. And again, I know you love it here. You're learning so much, and there's so much more to learn.
Maybe there's a space wheel barrel.
Dr. C, I don't know if you noticed, everybody else is over that way. And
I'll leave a long extinct humanoid species here, trapped in crystal, and not be able to clone them and bring them back into the universe under
Crazy
my
thought,
control.
though, right? It's like it's been there for millennia or something like that, like a really long time. I don't do math, but I'm pretty sure the math comes out to it's been there a long time. It'll probably stay there a little longer.
It's fair. It is fairly cold here, so it should keep. All right, let's go.
Are you guys coming? Are you coming?
Yes.
Put you up on my shoulders again.
Yay.
It's like this. It's like the compliment sandwich. It's like, oh, this is a really good job you're doing. We have to leave, but we can do a piggyback ride.
That's it.
Okay, so you all push further in, and eventually you find yourselves at the base of these massive 3 crystalline spires that are freaking enormous. They are almost as wide and girthy, you might say, as one of these ruinous buildings that you see around you. That's how big and thick they are. And they each kind of curl upwards. They're not holding anything up, but you do see that along the way on the ground are these more like what you've seen before, Dr. T. It looks like the shedding of something. Some of these it's just dusty. There's dust everywhere, and you think it's just like really, really old shedding that has just long since turned to dust. Okay. But when you get at the base of them, you notice in the ground a massive crevice, just massive, from which all 3 of them have grown up out. And you look down, and you see that the earth just descends for God knows how long. It's so dark down there. You're just looking down, but you're pretty sure they're growing up from the subterranean somewhere. But you don't see the origin. Now, what you do see is signs all around of like climbing equipment set up here and there. Looks like surrounding some of the crevice. At one point, someone had set up like barricades or railings or things that have since rusted over and broken down. You would imagine at some point maybe the Legion who were investigating, or the Corp if they were aligned with Legion in their exploration of this, or whatever it might be, have tried to use this as sort of a centerpiece. You would guess that they tried to go down there and find the base at some point. So that is what you see as you come to the end. And you can tell Zatek as you come up and you're looking at the locator beacon and you're hearing the signal. It's the signal of your friend. The voice has never been stronger. She's never been clearer. The locator beacon for Ajax, it's like you're literally standing on top of it. Beep, 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 beep. It should be here.
Right at the edge of this, like,
right crevice. Here. Yeah, it should be right here.
I point down to get louder.
It certainly seems like she is calling from below. Ajax might be a different story, but she at the very least is.
Are
friend's down there.
Here?
What are we waiting for?
There's a long that's a long way down there.
There's got to be something there if people have been climbing.
Kill, I need your grappling hook.
Well, it's a funny story about that.
Yeah, sorry about that, Kill.
That's okay.
Holds up like a limp, torn cable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's not like clearly there's been multiple expeditions that have just gone down and never returned.
Yeah, do we have any rope? I'll just try to scale down.
Oh, hey, good news. There's been lots of people that already
down.
left all their gear because they didn't make it back.
Yeah.
One of them probably has rope. One of them probably has rope, right?
I'm gonna go grab some of the rope that's like dangling off and into the edge of the hole like this. Here you go. I've already hooked it up for you.
Perfect.
Dr. T, you don't even need the rope. You can just fly, right?
Yeah, I know. I'm
Yeah,
really
but I
encouraging bad
can't. So
behavior
I'm
here.
gonna go. I'm gonna scale down. Dr. T, you can fly down.
I'll keep you company.
Well, yeah. Well, the two of us, we got this.
Ajax's beacon's here too, but I don't see him.
Oh,
Like
And
down
that
there
is
or here?
all
Like,
the push he
kinda
needs
here.
to get going.
All right.
are you
That's
sure you're
gonna
up for this,
break.
Maya? I just noticed
She's
that your
already started rapping.
heart rate went up and her. Oh my gosh.
We should totally
Jada wants
climb down.
to look around this area before going down because the signal for Ajax is somewhere here. So she wants to make sure we've thoroughly covered this area.
She's
You rolled awareness?
Maya's shoving the rope into Kill's hand specifically so that he can like hold on to this end of it.
Gita, give me an awareness test as you look around, and then who's climbing down? So Maya, you're climbing down.
Maya's
Dr. T,
coming
you're flying.
Yeah.
Zatek's
I'm
climbing.
gonna inspect the climbing equipment first and make sure it's anchored well and all that.
Sure. Give me awareness is fine, I think, for that.
Okay.
All right.
For Tito's awareness, I spent an audience to reroll, so I got a 13.
Okay.
Got a 12.
Okay. So Jita, you find in the area there are some bodies that are like in some of the debris, like in some of the rooms, etc. Fresh kills. You can see they have center mass shots right in the chest. It looks like one of them appears not unlike looks almost identical to Freylosh, that kind of remnant hybrid. You start trying to remember the specific group of people that were on the expedition list, and you notice that you start counting up bodies, and there's 2 missing, but otherwise you're pretty sure based upon what you had in terms of who was on that expedition. There's one body there that matches the description, that matches the description, that matches the description. Each one of them has a center mass shot. There's 2 that are missing. One is you don't see a Palantor amongst the bodies, and you know that there was a Palantor on the crew, and you don't see a female Kaltoran, and you know that there was a female Kaltoran amongst the crew.
I so want to know what this planet does to Kaltorans.
Tiv was the Palantor.
Okay.
According to Jolan, who you hate.
Yes.
And do you show him the bodies too? Jita?
Are you asking Jita?
Yeah. We found the bodies.
Yes, I would.
Okay.
Just bring him over. Sorry to do this, but would you mind coming over and taking a look at these? This seems quite recent.
He's like, what? Okay. And he just comes over, his hair kind of bouncing in the wind. Okay. He's like, oh my God. It's terrible. Whoa. These poor people. Oh, that's just awful. Who were they?
Well, that's what I was trying to ask you. These were listed to be crew. Members of the expedition.
What expedition?
Oh, you're not as helpful as I thought you were going to be.
It's not going to affect me like it affects you. No.
He's like, are you feeling okay? You're my crew. I'm your crew. They're all my crew.
Oh. And so at first she's disappointed, and then she feels a little like, oh, well, maybe this is for the best that you weren't just traumatized by this. Just never mind. Just Maya's going down. Grab the rope. Be a support. Let's just do that.
All right, righteous. He turns around, goes to be a support. Poor people. It's a shame. They probably had families. He says as he walks away.
I'm going to scratch into like a piece of debris or something because like he's not remembering stuff. And I don't want him to forget his job of holding the anchors. So I'm going to say, hold on to the rope. Don't let go.
Hold on to the rope. Don't let go.
Give him instructions for that.
Come on, man.
Smart.
How long have we known each other? You know I'm not going to mess this up.
We go way back.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Just hangs there.
Like as far as you can remember.
Got you. Right on, bro.
As
Be careful. If you need help, just call my name and I'll come.
I will.
Okay. So you all are climbing?
Yep.
Anybody who's climbing, Dr. T, you don't need to do it because you got your flying apparatus stuff going on. But the rest of you, I need you to make a physical roll.
Okay.
I'm good at those.
Difficulty to get down without any kind of endurance loss will be 14.
Oh boy.
Difficulty to get down with endurance loss but not falling is going to be 12. You roll underneath the 12, you fall.
I got a 12.
Okay, you're good. You're good. You'll take a couple points of endurance loss just because it's an exhausting climb. That's really all it is.
Yeah.
Okay. I got a 16.
Okay. Zatek, you move down. Zatek, Kill. The two of you moving down quickly. You're finding handholds, footholds. Zatek, maybe you even biomorph slightly here and there just to make your climb down easy. Kill, you're freaking Legion, man. You're made for this stuff. You're just no issues whatsoever. You don't even need the rope, but there's a rope that makes it even easier. The two of you get down without any issue. Jita, how did you do?
Sorry, what were we rolling?
Physical to climb. A 12 will get you down there with a little bit of endurance loss from the tiredness of the climb. 14 will get you down there without any endurance loss.
13.
Okay, so both Jita and Maya, the two of you, go ahead and take 3 points of endurance losses. It's a lengthy climb. The other thing is like, as all of you are climbing down, Dr. T, as you're flying down, more than once. We're talking like 5, 6, 7 times. Each of you has an experience where you just kind of hear like a sound suddenly emit from, it's either the rock that you're climbing down, like the rock wall itself, or it's one of these giant crystalline pillars that you're at your backs to. You just hear like this weird scream, like this almost Doppler effect scream. You just hear more than once. And each time it comes, like you might jump a little bit, you might kind of shift, you might try to find a way to kind of hang tight. Anybody, I'll say, Dr. T, actually, you would be the best person for this. Give me an awareness test.
Yeah.
Now, the rest of you, I think you're concentrating on climbing.
Oh, yes, definitely. Holding onto the rope for dear life.
Every 10 meters or so, you just hear that.
All right, let me use the 6 to reroll that 1. Okay, it's a 2. That's 9.
Okay. You might be the best person suited to roll it, but that -2 in your awareness. Just this.
Yeah.
I'll say this, though, Dr. T. You notice more than once sort of some weird discoloration, either in the rock wall or sometimes it's in the crystal. Sometimes it's like a bit of dust comes down and kind of shifts and moves. And you swear to God, one time you saw when the sound, which all of you can hear, when the sound, you swear something protruded out from the rock wall and then just got it sort of sucked back in. but you couldn't really tell. It was probably just a trick of the light. It was probably just a swirl of dust. That's all it was.
Yeah. No problem.
So all of you.
What is it? What do you see? What?
It's
Does anybody
dust,
see anything? It's so loud. There's got to be something there.
Like caves and wind and like.
No. That's not wind. That's not wind.
Just get down. Let's just get down.
Yeah. I mean, it should be fine because I don't think snakes make that kind of noise.
Something's making that. And so, like, I would imagine Jita is climbing a little slower, actually, because she's gripping on really, really tight to the rope as she's sort of going down.
Impressive. Maya is going faster.
One by one, you all make it down. It's a long climb. It's probably like 100 meters. And when you land and you get down, you realize that the ground isn't earth. It's some kind of flooring that Zatek you recognize immediately. You look around and you see a vast subterranean series of vats from which you're seeing the base of these crystallines are growing out of. There are a handful of what looks like lights hanging down here and there along the underside of this big cavern. And they extend in all sorts of different directions. And you can see that there's been effort here to reinforce. There's like a massive laboratory. And as you all land at the base of one of these vats, you get a somewhat of a view, but it's extraordinarily dark. But those little lights here, those little orbs that pop up every now and then kind of let you see just the sheer grandiosity of where you're at. But you do land in an area where it does look like these crystals have grown up. So all of you land, one by one, start moving around in your positions. And there's like a little flicker of light. You just hear... And as you all look back, you see that there are 2 kills. Except one of them isn't Kill. It's a Legion, though. And there is a massive gun that is right up against the back of Kill's head. Maya, you watch as a little mask opens up, and you see the familiar face of Ajax as he's standing with a gun to Kill's head. And we'll stop there, and we'll pick up there in a couple weeks.
All right. This is fine.
Wow.
Everything is fine.
He could have shot.
Oh, wow.
He could have shot.
He's showing restraint.
He's showing respect for fellow Legion.
Exactly. Because if you show up and you don't, like, at least show some sign of strength, it means you don't respect the other person.
Kill's about to explode like one of those vats.
To be fair, I did roll a sneaky awareness test by you versus his stealth, and you did not succeed. Because he does have this. His shit's so good. He's so good at this. He's an assassin.
NAS?
What? Bananas? Oh, he starts firing.
I know.
Suddenly Kill's head is gone.
I know. I wouldn't have it any other way.
Davey? Is that you? Beyond the vets. There's an elementary school. It's just terrible. Okay. All right. If you don't know what we're talking about, go watch our holler shows. It was a lot of fun. Okay, let's go ahead and let's do some plugs and we'll get on out of here. Let's start with Joe and Chuck. Tell us a little about what's going on with DOK this week.
Well, it's all my stuff this week. So Wednesday, we've got Night Below, our Dungeon Crawl Classics campaign. And Friday, we are continuing our brand new Pathfinder 2nd Edition campaign set in a very old pre-stream DOK setting. And yeah, that's what we got.
Fan-freaking-tastic. Maitre, I was about to call you Maya. I'm like, no, that's not right. That's your character. Maitre, tell us a little bit about where we can find you on the internet.
I am Mighty Plays Games on YouTube. And I make system agnostic, multi-system stuff about tabletops that if you want to check out, you should check out.
Fantastic. And Jeremy, go ahead and tell us a little about this Patreon.
Sure, it's on Patreon. You've got comics, tokens, maps, fun stuff. Check it out.
Awesome. As for us here, our next game's tomorrow night. We're going to be playing some Frontier Scum, which is how it's properly pronounced, despite what Steven says. Frontier Scum. We're playing some creepy old outlaws on some weird acid west. Thursday, we'll be back to Simber Room, where the party also descended into a giant hole in the earth. We'll see how that fares for them. I have a feeling not well. Friday, Delta Green, we're all good. We're in a building. Yeah, what can go wrong? Everything's fine. Saturday, we are back in Arkham playing Call of Cthulhu. They're getting a nice earned rest, gaining their sanity back, going to see their therapists, seeing their old families and friends. Everything's working out perfect for them. And then next Monday, we'll be back in this slot for Alien as we alternate between Alien and Fragged Empire. And that's what we got going on. Thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. Let's go ahead and pay forward a raid. Looks like Fabled 42. They're still playing, so we'll go ahead and raid them. Have a great rest of your night. We'll see y'all later. Bye-bye.